What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves. Hi, welcome to another great episode of the All Around. I am your gracious host, Dr. Anthony, and we have some exciting things that we're going to discuss today with you. Ida B will not be in the house tonight. We send our love and our condolences out to her. Her father passed away, so we, it's heartfelt, and like I said, we send our support and our love out to her. But I will be joined by my producer, Mark Lee. And we will be discussing some things.
I'm glad to join you. And like you said, condolences definitely go out to what Ida is going through and all in that space, because it has definitely been a lot of that going on in the world. I know that two of my coworkers here at Hayti, one that I think the person had been fighting an illness for a long time, and that is our development person who is also very much involved with our youth kids doing a youth arts intensive. Her sister passed away, and then our technical director, his sister passed away, and his sister was actually very young. I want to say she might have been in her either 20s or 30s and all in that space. So that was that saying that they say nobody knows the date or time, but it is something that we all face in life and all in that kind of spaces. So condolences go to those three individuals and anybody else that is suffering from loss on this particular day.
Of course. I mean, it's insane. How people are just dropping like flies, and we're losing somebody every second, every day, every hour, every minute. And like you said, we never know the time. So, I try to make sure that I treat everybody with, respect unless you give me a reason not to. And I try to be kind to people unless you give me a reason not to be. And then you have to bring that crazy bitch out, and then I have to.
Wait a minute. You told me that you carry in your back pocket a machete and a switch, meaning a switchblade. And if people want to act stupid, that you may wind up pulling those out every once
I
in a
do.
while.
I do, because sometimes you got to protect yourself. You know what I'm
We
saying?
definitely got to protect ourselves. But the scary thing about that, and I know it's something you were going to mention to the uh, other person that'll be on hopefully later on in this week or this next month, that is in that space of child development and child education, is that I know before we were on the air, we talked about what's going on in the schools. I catch
Mhm.
mass transit and I see a lot of these kids around. And of course, I do have my two nephews. And, growing up, there was the fist fights that you would get into, and you might have somebody that might pull a switch here and there. But these kids are carrying guns. And I think in some cases, they might even be carrying bazookas and machine guns and all kinds of that firepower. So I do understand why a lot of people that are working with our youth are concerned, one, about the mental health of our youth, but also concerned about their own safety. I know that my brother works with at risk youth and does a great job of working with them and trying to get them on the straight and narrow. But, it is something that in the back of my mind I am concerned about, because I don't know, while he's playing video games with them and doing other things to help encourage their study habits and do other things to get them out of the bad lifestyle. I don't know that there might not be a time that he runs across a bad apple that may cause other kinds of disevil and and harm and all in that space. So it is something that we oftentimes worry about, whether it is law enforcement friends that we have or whether it's folks that are working in the teaching profession, because we know, one, y'all don't get paid enough, and two, y'all are oftentimes put in the way of danger and all in that kind of space.
Yeah, and I mean it's so sad, but you have people out there feel like teachers don't deserve raises, and they feel like we have 3 months off and every holiday, but those holidays are needed. Teachers need to recharge and get their mental health under control, and just to be able to deal with the parents and the students. I mean, because we're not dealing with the traditional student anymore. We're taking upon a lot of the things that the parents are not doing at home in terms of like their mental health, their feelings, their emotions. So a lot of that stuff is, dealt with inside of the classroom and is dealt with inside of the school. So not only do we have to recharge for ourselves, we have to recharge for the children in dealing with the parents. For example, I'm one of the senior class sponsors at my school. So we've been giving out information for the past 2 years, 2.5 years to parents and seniors. I had someone today, contact me and say, oh, my daughter couldn't pay her dues. The deadline was March 24th, which was last Friday. No, the deadline was March 22nd. And it's not like we were not communicating with the parents. We put it out on the message boards to the parents. We put it in Google Classroom. We met with the kids every month up until the end of school. We still meet with the kids, giving them the information. So, it's just those things, and then they try to fault us and blame us just for simple things when we did what we were supposed to do. And not even just that, and when I say they, I'm saying some of the parents expect us to, raise their children and handle their children and discipline their kids. But in the same voice, they tell us, we can't say nothing to their child. We can't do this, but you can't have it both ways. You can't have the educator in one capacity, trying to help and discipline your child. And then you in the other capacity saying, don't say anything to my kid. When I was coming up, and I'm quite sure when you were coming up, Mark, we had a community. The village could discipline your child. Nowadays it's not even like that. And so now we have these children who are running amok, who are not afraid of anyone, and who are just being right out disrespectful to adults and just cursing them out like they're grown-ups. But throughout my lifetime and throughout my tenure and my tutelage as an educator and being in education, I can say that I pretty much only had maybe like an experience of maybe 2 or 3 kids that were very disrespectful and basically cursed me out and things like that. And I just told them put a handle on it, because at one time I wasn't a doctor. I was like, Miss, they called me a bitch. I was like, well, put a handle on it. It's Miss Bitch to you. And then when I became a doctor, it was like, they called me a bitch, and I'm like, okay, it's Dr. Bitch to you. Put a handle on it. So it's just, these things that we're dealing with consistently on a day-to-day basis. And then, you have to fight the children, you have to fight the parents, and you have to, do all of these things in the same context as, prepare to teach. And not only are you teaching, but you're also, monitoring and, working with I have 35 to 40 different kids per class, and I teach 6 classes, 3 per day. So I'm dealing with all these kids, plus the parents, plus their behaviors, plus their mental health and all of that. So yes, we do need breaks. We have to have time to recharge. We have to have times to do things. We have to have time to spend with our families, with our loved ones. And some people just don't understand that. They think that teachers should work year round, and that, we should be available for somebody else's child all the time. And it just doesn't work like that. And,
It definitely doesn't work that way and everything. But
it
I
doesn't.
was also wondering how much of the society blame is on also our leadership when we got folks that are going to rallies and showing clips of what was basically a insurrection, as that is something that we should be encouraging, because I do see that that is something that the former president did recently, and when he was also making accusations of DeSantis being a crybaby and everything along those lines. But he's over there pumping up his base by showing pictures literally at the rally of what was going on at the insurrection and all in that kind of way. So I just wonder how much is part
But
of the society responsibility also on the fact that we are letting folks get away with very bad acting and very bad being a bad actor. That's the word I was looking for, a bad actor in the theater of life and all in that space.
Well, I don't think they're getting away with it. I mean, it's just taking time to prosecute them. So I know that pretty much all the people that are here in DC that were charged with a felony charge has been prosecuted and is in the DC jail. I was just reading an article the other day that they were saying that, excuse me, the DC jail was unfit for the people that were in there. And so they basically went to the jail, looked at the jail, and they were, saying that the jail is not unfit, is very not nice, but is up to par, is up to standard for the people that were convicted. So I'm assuming that they're trying to get transferred to another facility, but that was short-lived, because I think Republicans are saying that the jail was unfit, unkept. But I'm glad you mentioned that, and because it also ties hand in hand to education.
Mm-hmm.
When you dumb down education, you have a people that is not educated and don't understand. So if you don't understand and you're not educated, you don't understand how history repeats itself. And so if we're not pushing out things where the people now that are coming through the school system are being properly educated, we could possibly have another type insurrection or another coup where they're trying to overthrow the government because they don't understand the power, the systems at play. Also, you mentioned DeSantis, and there's an article that was out today that stated he basically took well, the school system took out the show about Ruby Bridges, and everybody know who Ruby Bridges is. She helped segregate the schools in New Orleans, Louisiana, and was it Louisiana? I think it was Louisiana. She helped integrate the schools there, and so they basically removed any material about her and what she did. So basically, what they're trying to do is wipe Black history off the map, and take out the accomplishments, which Black history is American history, because without Black history there is no American history. So basically he's trying to say that what they're teaching in schools to the youth in terms of Black history is not adequate and is not up to par and is not good for the curriculum, basically. Yeah, so everything falls back to the education. So if
education is very much an important part of what goes on. Mm-hmm. And by the way, it was at the tender age of 6 that Ruby Bridges advanced the cause of civil rights in November of 1960, so a couple of years before I was born and everything, when she became the first African-American student to integrate an elementary school in the South. So, yes, she was born in Mississippi, but when Ruby was 2 years old, her parents moved their family to New Orleans, Louisiana, a part of the world that in search of better work opportunities. Ruby's birth year coincided with the U.S. Supreme Court landmark ruling in Brown versus the Board of Education, which ended racial segregation. And while there was all this resistance, she was the one that was thrown into the limelight there in Mississippi in Louisiana, when she, along with some other students, were sent to the all-white McDonald Elementary Schools. I don't know if McDonough is still around or not, but that is the school that they integrated and all along those lines. So that is what happened way back in 1960. I did have a quick question for you, and I was actually going to play a video. It's a video that I think you'll find interesting, because I'm always amazed, and we saw some of it going on with the whole concept of the what do you call it? The reclaiming of words, like folks using the N word in all of that space. NWA comes to mind and everything. But there is a commercial that is out right now, and I'm hoping that this is the right one that I'm getting ready to play and everything, that it looks like some folks are trying to take on the beer industry, but also reclaim a certain word and everything. And yes, it does involve some of the people of a paler complexion, but it is a legitimate commercial. And I just wanted to know your thoughts after I play this commercial, if it's all right with you, because they are trying to reclaim a word and all. So let's check out this commercial.
Roll the commercial.
Here's a little known fact. Women were among the very first to brew beer ever. From Mesopotamia to the Middle Ages to colonial America, women were the ones doing the brewing. Centuries later, how did the industry pay homage to the founding mothers of beer? They put us in bikinis. Wow. Look at this wild. It's time beer made it up to women. So today, Miller Lite is on a mission to clean up not just their but the whole beer industry's Miller Lite has been scouring the internet for all this and buying it back so that they can turn it into good for women brewers. Literally, good How, you ask? Ladies, take it away.
First, we turn the bad into compost. Then we feed compost to worms. Push out beautiful fertilizer.
That good helps farmers grow quality hops,
which is then donated to women brewers to make their own really good
But there's definitely more out there. In your attic, in the garage, in your parents' basement. Send any you got into Miller Lite, and they'll turn that into good too. Oh. So here's to women, because without us, there would be no beer.
Interesting.
What did you think? They're trying to reclaim a part of the narrative and saying, hey, wait a minute, that was a very sexist thing that y'all used to do. So we're going to turn it into compost and have support the women folks that are in the industry. I'm sure that Harlem Brewing may be getting some of that support, and hopefully some others are getting it as well. But what was your take on it as a activist in your own right of a lot of things and all in that space? So just wondering your thoughts as you saw what that particular group of folks were doing.
Well, I mean, they always try to, take something that we have already done and, reinvent the wheel and try to, stake claim to it or whatever, because Black people has always, as a people, as a culture, as the Black nation has always brewed their own liquor and wine anyway. You know what I'm saying? So this is nothing new. It's just they're trying to put a spin on it and basically claim something that we have already done and we have already been doing. I remember as a child, my mom used to let me make plum brandy. And I used to ferment plums, and this is something that is taught through the culture and passed down through generations. So they're not doing anything new. We've been there, done that, and still are doing it. But
Yeah, done that. I had a great uncle who unfortunately passed
yes.
on, but he used to make some different flavors of wine and everything. I don't know if I ever told you this story, but I've definitely told it to the network before. But there was a young lady that I was at the time courting. Don't know where she disappeared to, if she ever got married or what happened to her, and all in that space. But she was in the creative realm and all in that kind of way. But she came to visit our family, and they were came to visit me in the process. And definitely while they were doing that, they were crocheting and having a good old time crocheting, basically ignoring my family. But when my great uncle brought out the liquor and all in that space, then all of a sudden we went from Dr. Jekyll to Mrs. Hyde and all of that space. Because I remember that she all of a sudden became very friendly and very sociable and all in that space. And as they were leaving and departing, catching their plane back to Texas, they were like, hey, can I get some more of that Lyons Farm? Because his last name was Lyons and everything. And I'm going like, wait a minute, you're treating me like dirt the whole time you're visiting, but you want to get some of that special liquor. Don't know that we necessarily send off a lot of packages to them and all in that space. But you're right, it is very much a part of our culture. And that was just one relative that used to do it. There were others that did it as well. So it
Definitely.
definitely is part of our culture.
I mean, even with the moonshine, we used to we started the brewing of the moonshine because they, back in the history, they would not allow, Black people and slaves to who were enslaved to even drink, even eat vanilla ice cream and a long line of a host of other things.
And we
So
create a whole industry
there
that
were,
they're trying to take away from us. Then we create a whole industry that
yeah,
they're
but and that's the thing. We're so innovative, intuitive, and just have the natural know-how just to do things. Without us, there would be no them. They would still be in cave, eating unseasoned food, mayonnaise on
so they definitely
everything
be doing that. Hey, but
and
Dr. Anthony, that's what I'm
pasta.
talking about. What is one of the main sports that rednecks love? I'm not saying that they're the only ones that love it, but it's definitely very popular in the redneck circle and everything. But it's something that you just brought up. It was gun runners. A lot of them are not gun runners, but liquor runners. And a lot of them were of minority descent, whether they
Mhm.
were Native or African Americans, that created that whole liquor running culture. And from that liquor running culture came NASCAR. And there are not enough of us that are actually owning those NASCAR cars right now. We've been kind of put out of that industry for a while. There's another industry that I have said I would like to attend one of their premier races, and I've been saying that for decades now, and I haven't got around to going to Louisville. But the early stages of the horse racing industry was also very much of our
Of
industry
course,
as well. But
we
they
did it all.
oh,
Hockey,
yeah.
that country music. We started country music. We started it all. But see, they have adapted it, and they think that white people have, done all these things. But yet it was us. We did it, But they don't want to, give us our accolades and put that stamp on it. But yeah, we did all that, So it's not like we are looking to them for validation and things like that, because we don't need their validation.
Yeah,
And
I don't need no
honestly, we don't
validation
want
at
their
all.
validation, And that brings up another topic of Angela Bassett when she didn't win the Oscar and Jamie Lee Curtis won. It just goes to show you how mediocre they are, but they give those prizes to them. And not taking anything away from Jamie Lee Curtis. She's good, but she's no Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett is Angela Bassett. And, if you've seen her in anything, she is going to play the part and be the role and, do what she has to do. So I feel like she was robbed, but at the same time, why are we even going into these white spaces expecting validation and expecting, homage for, what we're doing? We need to create our own. And that goes back to, when they were trying to integrate schools. When they were fighting for the equal rights of, education, they wanted the school system to give the children in the Black community the same thing that they were giving the children in the white community. But see, the children in the Black community, they would upgrade the white children with new things, and they got the hand-me-downs from the white children. So they figured, if we just integrate the schools, it would be cheaper. It would be cheaper than, segregation, and we just, uplifting and doing what we need to do or whatever. But when Dr. King realized that, he walked his people into the lion's den, he basically stated it, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we as a people, we still need to step up and fight for our children and fight for, what they deserve. Because if you look at in any of the, major cities that are Black and that has like a high population of Black, those children do not receive the same materials and the same books and the same opportunities as children who are going to predominantly white schools. And it's just a fact. And that's just, even with the Robin Hood tax, when they tax your houses, in, your property tax pays for educators, policemen, firemen, all those things. And so when the white people are taxed, they're taxed too, but the Black people are taxed as well. But they're saying that the whites are paying more in property tax than the Blacks, and that's why their children get the better of the things. But it shouldn't be allocated, in that capacity. It should be allocated equally across the board, but it's not.
No, it's not allocated equally across the board. And tax season is around the corner. We're only about 3 weeks away or something like that from tax season, and all in that space. People will be trying to get their extensions. And I do know a lot of people have been concerned about the major bailout that looks like it's taken apart for a major industry. But I just wondering your thoughts around that, because a lot of people are looking at Credit Suisse and that bank that's in California, and a number of other banks that look like they will be getting rescued when they are sending all kinds of money to rescue them. And of course, we're sending all kinds of money to Ukraine to rescue them when we've got issues in our own community. But I just wanted your take on this bank rescue. And is that something that we need to be concerned about and doing as a country here, rescuing these banks that apparently made some bad decisions, and that is why they are failing? But I was just wondering your thoughts as to this bank rescue that apparently we're getting ready to do, just like we rescued the car industry and a number of other industries as well.
Well, the thing about that is I have a major problem with it, because my Black tax dollars that I pay every year is going towards that. But you cannot support my Black tax dollars cannot support another Black individual who needs their student loans erased. And my thing is, to the Congress people out there, especially the white Republicans, you go against, people getting $20,000 in relief to help them with some of these student loans, and to be able to actually, come out of debt with that. And you have a problem saying it's unconstitutional, but you can send billions of dollars to a country that we don't even, we are not even integrated with into Ukraine. And most of them over there were, being racist towards the African people that were there. And so I spoke about it then, because somebody in, a group text, that I'm affiliated with in the school system that I work for was basically saying that we need to support Ukraine. And I told her, no, my Black dollars don't need to support Ukraine. Why? For what? No, it doesn't. It needs to support, things that we have here in our nation. And then to say that, they're going to spend billions and billions of dollars to bail out these banks, that's just asinine to me, because they keep doing the same thing over and over, and they know that these Republicans are going to bail them out. You know what I'm saying? But you have a problem with bailing out the people that are basically putting the brunt in on the taxes, which is the middle class. And you have a problem with bailing them out. So I definitely have a problem with that. And if people don't understand that, then, they don't understand how this tax stuff is, being allocated, and how it's just basically playing on the middle class system, because the middle class people like myself, you, and others, we are the ones that are taking the hit, not everybody else, because we didn't get no relief when they were giving out money for COVID and stimulus and things like that. They gave people who made way less than us the relief to help them in some sort of way, which I'm okay with that. But at the same time, you need to stop basically taking away from the middle class people and started supporting them as well, because we are holding the economy together and we are basically supporting everything. And without us supporting anything, the economy would definitely collapse. So yes, I do have a major problem with my black tax dollars going over to Ukraine and my black tax dollars supporting a bank in Silicon Valley. Yes, I do have a problem with that, because guess what? They are not hiring my people, which are black people and minority people, to work in these spaces to even, make a dent in the employment population of these situations. So yes, I have a major problem with them taking my black dollars, my black tax dollars, and supporting any of that. And it doesn't mean that I don't have sympathy for the people in Ukraine. Yes, I do have sympathy for the people in Ukraine, but I just don't feel like my money needs to go over there and support you. Other people that are in NATO need to step up. Other countries in NATO, they need to step up, and they need to put money out there, not just depend on the United States, because as you said, Mark, we have a lot of things that we have to take care of right here at home that we're not addressing right here at home. So yes, I do have a major problem with them giving my black tax dollars to Ukraine and giving my black tax dollars to a bank in Silicon Valley. When black people can't even. And the thing about it is, when you won't even give a black people a loan to even start a business, you have a problem with giving black people, home loans. And then when you do give black people home loans, you jack their rates up so high to try to make them lose and default on their loans, but they still coming through and not defaulting on their loans. So yes, I do have a problem with my black tax dollars.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I do have another question, because
yes.
The NCAA is going on. There are some underdog schools that are definitely making some noise, including San Diego. I think it's San Diego State, the Aztecs, and definitely the one from Florida Atlantic down there in Boca Raton, which is a very rich area and all in that space. But there are now a bunch of players that are going to enter the transfer portal. That means that they are going to enter the right to leave one school and go to another school. That's what they call the transfer portal, and all of those along those lines. And I was watching a video, I think it was from a couple of years ago, where Colin Kaepernick was making a parallel between the combines and what football players go through and slavery, because he was showing, and actually it was a video showing the athletes and what they do and all in that space. So I just wondered, what is your thoughts when you are watching our professional athletes? And then in some ways it does look like they are going through something that is very similar to the whole slavery aspect of what happened centuries ago.
I mean, I stated this some years ago that it's like slavery. The only difference is you're being paid, millions of dollars, but it's still you're still being on the chopping block. You're still, they're looking at your teeth. They're taking blood tests. They're doing, all these type of tests on you to make sure that the money that they're investing in you, that you're okay with it. Because it was some years ago, one of the young men that was supposed to be drafted in the NBA, he was one of the high round draft picks or whatever. So when he got to the place where they were testing him, he found out that he had a heart condition, and they couldn't allow him to go into the NBA. So it's still the same thing. It's about them investing their money. So it's you're just on a different caliber and a different scale, but it's still the same thing, because they don't want you to have an opinion. They don't want you to say anything. Look at how the pushback came with Kyrie Irving. Look at how the pushback came with, LeBron James when he made the statement about Jerry Jones and him being in the picture. So, it's still, in a sense, it's still, slave mentality and the same things that they utilized in the slave trade. When they brought them, the enslaved people here, they're still doing it when it comes to professional athletes. So yes, it's just a higher paid slavery, and I do concur and I agree with him on that.
Yeah, that's what he did. He did a whole video about it, and definitely some folks are. One of the things I've been hearing folks say is what can happen in the sense of our wealthy folks doing more in the community. Because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who is definitely pro reparations, but she was wondering, where are the Oprahs and the Michael Jordans and others when wondering where they are when it comes to actually doing good for the community, because we do know that we have a number of teachers and lawyers and definitely the athletes that are making plenty of money. So she was asking, why won't they pool their resources and create their own studios or their own teams or their own this or that?
Well,
But
it's not. The thing about it is it's not that simple. So they have it fixed where if, for example, in the NFL, if a black person wants to buy a team, all the other owners got to agree that black person can buy a team. So it's not just to say that, we want to go and buy an NFL team, because that's not it. They have to be willing to agree to allow you to buy a team. So they're purposely not allowing black people to, purchase those teams. So my thing with that is, I've said this for years. We need to start our own leagues, and we need to start, petitioning and going to cities that has like black mayors or Democratic mayors and things like that or whatever, without the large stadiums, and we put our own stadiums and we put our own basketball facilities in those particular cities, and that's where we target, like the Michigan, maybe the Baltimore, DC, that's predominantly black, where we know that we can get this stuff passed or whatever. We need to create our own and stop relying on them to do anything when it comes to the black community, because how many times have we heard it?
Yeah,
I'm almost 49. I'll be 49 in May. So I mean, like, come on. It's still the same old rhetoric. It's still the same old hoopla. So it's just time that we step up and we start doing things for our own self. If we want Oscars, we need to create a black Oscars. So, even when it came with the Grammys, we need to create the black Grammys. So we don't have to, seek them for validation. We can have our own and our own award shows and support and put our own people on a pedestal and give them the accolades that they are rightly deserved.
But there are some people that would argue that we've already doing that, and that's really what was created when the Negro League was created, and a number of other leagues in that space. And it sounds like you're saying that we need to go back to that and all in that kind of way. So that would be interesting to see if that is something that we need to look at.
I mean, because I think it can happen. We have people that are doing the Black Wall Street. So not only with the Black Wall Street, we need to create, our own when it comes to, our leagues and things like that. Because we see how our athletes are being treated. We see when they stand up for justice for our people, how they're being treated. Look at Kyrie Irving, for example. All he did was share a video, and they want to say that he's a Jew hater. He's anti-Semitic. He's this, he's that. And like I said, at the end of the day, I'm black and I'm a black woman, and I'm a forever support black issues, black businesses. You don't come before me. But the issue is they want us to support everything that they have going on, but we can't criticize. We can't do anything. And if we criticize, we're a hater. We're this, we're anti this, we're anti that. No, all we're saying is that we're supporting our own people, and we're not putting you before our own people, which, that's the case. We're not putting you before our own people. Even one of the actors, he said that he loves, he loves and he likes to date black women. So some of the other women in other cultures were upset and offended that he said that he loved black women, and that's what he preferred to date is black women. So why are you upset? Your white men don't say that they love to date black women. You know what I'm saying? The Asian men.
But your buddy, and I'm being sarcastic.
Why are you upset? Why are you upset when a black man says that he loves black women and he wants to only date black women? Why are you upset?
I hear what you're saying, but what do you say to the young rapper who is apparently floating the notion again that he is a supporter of a certain politician? Who knows? Maybe he'll run for office himself as well. But apparently the rapper has Kanye West, also known as Ye, has turned to social media and claimed he likes Jewish people again, apparently regretting his anti-Semitic remarks that were condemned by many last year. So it seems that the musician realized that he can't get his dignity back without declaring love for Jewish people. So he shared a very meaningful post to describe new thoughts by making a comeback on Instagram Sunday. And he said, watching Jonah Hill in 21 Jump Street made him like Jewish people again.
Let me tell you something. I don't like nobody. I don't care if you black, white, Jewish, Hispanic, polka dot, Catholic, Protestant, Baptist. I don't care. I don't like you. I don't like you. And it has nothing to do with, what you are and things like that. It's just about how you treat me and how we interact. If we don't interact, I don't like your ass. And that's just the bottom line. Being Jewish or not, I don't like people. So, it's when, you start placing these labels and these titles. But, what pisses me the fuck off is I have seen a lot of videos with Jewish people talking mad shit about black people, how they don't like us and how, you know, they're being derogatory towards us, but nobody said that they were anti-black. You know what I'm saying? So that same energy that you giving us is that same energy that I'm going to give you back. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you put out. That's what you receive from me. You know, so it doesn't matter, like I said, white, black, polka dot, Catholic, Protestant, whatever the hell you are, non-denominational. If I don't like you, I just don't like you, period.
Yep. Makes a lot of sense and everything in that space. I do have one other thing I was going to bring up in that way and all along those lines, but definitely that is very much the case, that folks are looking at these different folks and saying what they have to say in that regards also. So it'll be,
I mean, and it's so funny that you said that, is because, like, I was reading a Facebook post on one of my a person that's connected to me on Facebook last night. So she was basically saying that she heard somebody like in their 30s, 40s or whatever, and they were in Panera and they were having a conversation, and they were saying, you know, like, whenever I go to, you know, like the closing to, you know, buy my house, I'm going to be negotiating up until the last minute. When I go buy my car, I'm going to get this certain type of car. So she took issue with the people having that conversation inside of Panera. And so I'm just like, okay, so people can't have conversations no more. People can't talk about, you know, their goals and what they're going to do anymore. And for a person that's uninvited to the conversation, for you to take issue with the person who was talking about their goals and their dreams and what they're going to do. And she looked at it as privileged. You know what I'm saying? Not the fact that people have to work hard and, you know, do whatever they have to do or whatever, but it's a privilege. So I was like, I responded. And I was like, you know, I have these conversations with certain groups of my friends. Just the other day, as a matter of fact, yesterday, we were out house hunting. So James and I, when we were sitting at the restaurant eating, we were talking about the houses and what I like and dislike and what kind of car I'm going to buy after I purchase my house. So I don't feel like, you know, that is considered privilege. That to me is like setting goals and putting things out there that I want to accomplish and that I want to achieve for myself. But she basically had a problem with people having that conversation. So it just goes to show you how, you know, little things that you think are innocent and, you know, you're discussing with, you know, your friends or whomever that you're engaged in a conversation with, people take offense to it.
but you know, I got a question for you, because I didn't even know that there was a brothers, and actually in one case it's a interracial couple. In the other case, it is actually some brothers and sisters involved. But there is a new series that's out, and apparently it's getting some popular air and everything, called Seeking Brother Husband, and all in that space. So it's a new TLC series that features polyandrous couples and trios as they navigate the up and downs of adding additional husbands into their family life, and everything that happens in between as couples navigate the boundaries and the life-changing decisions, according to a release that came from that particular network. So as I'm looking at this couple, one of them is Kenya, Carl, and Tiger. They are all brothers, and well, one sister and her two brother friends and everything in that space. And they're saying that they connected on a philosophical level. And definitely they're saying that these folks match their emotional and physical needs. And now after 10 years, they're seeking even more thrills, adventure, and attention. So they are looking at having some additional people added, because maybe it'll be a third brother husband, because right now she's got one brother husband in that space. And that is one of the couples in Houston. You know, like I said, there's Kim, Dustin, and Vincent, and looks like the one of them, and they're in Asheville, North Carolina. So residents Kim and Dustin have been married for 11 years, and Vincent is their first brother husband and has a great relationship with both of them. So I'm not sure where the interracial part is and who was married to whom first and everything, but it is definitely some interracial relationship going on in there in that sense. And then there is a third one that is going on in Atlanta. Of course, it'd be Atlanta, and that is Shara and her husband Patrick for 13 years. And then they added their brother Noble that came into the picture. And who knows, maybe they're going to look at other folks as well. So that series premiered on March 26th on TLC. And there's a lot of folks that are looking at that series and saying, hey, maybe this is a new way of a lifestyle and things along those lines. So what is your thoughts when you're seeing this becoming more mainstream, for lack of a better term?
You know what? I'm just going to let people just do them. You know, it's not a new way of lifestyle for me. I can't, you know, control what other people do. And I, you know, if I don't like it, I'm not going to support it. I don't watch stuff like that on TV because I feel like, when you're ingesting things into your spirit, it causes a reaction from you. So I'm just not putting certain things into my spirit and allow certain things in. So, I'm just, I'm neutral. Whatever you do. I just know that I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying? So, I can't speak on nobody else and what excites them and, what they got going on or whatever, but that's on them.
That's on them. And like you said,
That's on them.
there are some people that say what you do in your bedroom is your business. I actually had the privilege or disprivilege. I'm not sure which way it was, but I was at the corner store earlier today. And the gentleman might have been selling me some wolf tickets. He might have been telling the truth for all I know, but he was claiming that he was filming a certain couple, and it was a couple of like-minded people and all in that space. So I'm thinking it was two women and all in that space. But then he was like saying that he put down the camera at some point and got involved himself. But that was his choice and that was their choice and all along those lines. But that was what they were doing in their room. I didn't need him to announce it and everything, but apparently he wanted to announce it to the world and let folks know that these activities do take place and all in that space.
I mean, we're well aware that the activities take place. I mean, you're just normalizing it now. The activities these activities have been going on for, years and years and years and years, because you heard about the swingers, you heard about this, you heard about that. So, I mean, you heard about the orgy parties, you had hedonism before any of this stuff came out, so it's been there. It's been going on for, since forever. We're just in a time and a place where it's being normalized now. So, I mean, if that's what you like, that's what you like. But I mean, I don't feel like it should be forced on everybody else, with certain things, put it on television, mainstreaming it or whatever. But, hey,
to each their own. Each their own.
Like I said, the only person I can control is myself.
Like I said,
and my TV plays on certain things. I don't watch certain stuff. Like I said, I just don't like ingesting things into my spirit and, just allowing certain stuff to come in. I just don't do that.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And along those same lines, there are people that are making claims about their ethnicity. One of those people is getting ready to declare to run again. And some people are saying that she is fully invested in the Native American culture. Others are saying that she barely has a drop of Native American blood in her, if any at all. But the Republicans did tease her and used to call her Pocahontas and all in that space. But what is your own read on the liberal politics of Elizabeth Warren and her claim to have some Native American ancestry, and that is something that she is proud of, and along those lines?
Well, I mean, everybody can claim, they're Native American or whatever, but at the end of the day, you still just, got to take the the test to prove it. I mean, but I think that she's one of the politicians that has actually, walked the walk and talked the talk. And, she has backed up, what she's saying and stuff like that or whatever. I'm sorry, she's texting me. But, I mean, I do like Elizabeth Warren. To me, she is, she has been one of the ones that has, basically
stood her grounds on her politics and all along those lines. There are some people that are still upset at parts of the Native American tribes, because I know for a fact that there are some folks that are looking at tribal land. And, some of that tribal land, actually, there are American iconic structures that are on some of that tribal land, because, there are still some people in the Native American tribes that would like that whole statues to go down, because technically they're on tribal land. That meaning the statues that honor our the fathers of the country, be that Lincoln, be that Washington, be that, I forgot who the other two are that are on the Mount Rushmore and all in that space. But those Mount Rushmore icons technically are on Indian land, and there are some folks in the native culture that would love to see those taken down, or maybe put up with some Indian chiefs and all along those lines. But what are your thoughts when there is a national memorial that is technically on the Indian land and all along those spaces? Because they are honoring the four presidents, and it was, I'm trying to remember them because I never remember them off the top of my head, but it is Washington, Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. So I had two of them in that earlier.
We didn't have a say in that. So I'm just like, I don't like to argue about things that I really can't control. You know what I'm saying? It was already done. And then they're doing crazy harsh, and stuff like that or whatever. So
Yeah. So definitely,
stuff like that or whatever. So I just really don't like arguing about that. But what I can say is I do feel some type of way about the Native Americans because so I'm sorry, I said I do feel some type of way about the Native Americans because the Native Americans, up until when they got the money, they would allow Black people to participate in the Native American who were also Black. They would allow them to participate in their rituals and ceremonies and things like that. And then when they got the money, they kicked them out. You know what I'm saying? So I feel some type of way about that. That's why when they were going through whatever the hell they were going through, I didn't support it, because why should I support you when you didn't support my grandmothers who are Black and who are Native American, and you kicked them out? You know what I'm saying? So why should I support you? Like, I'm not. Like, seriously, make it make sense. Honestly, make it make sense.
I'm trying to help make it make sense and all along those lines, but it is hard to make sense out of these things that are going on in that sense. But you do have some folks that are willing to claim one tribe or another. And then you also have the argument where people are trying to tell us to go back to the motherland. And I wonder what would happen if everybody was told to go back to their motherland. Would they all run back to Europe, or those that are from Ukraine run back to Ukraine, or in the middle of a war? Or what exactly are they saying when there are folks still to this day that are saying, hey, America, love it or leave it? I've always been of the opinion that if you have an issue, or there's things that you want to straighten up, that it is perfectly correct to make suggestions of ways that you would change it. There's that thing about if your house is messy or kind of like got issues in the house, then you can fix your own house, or you can critique your own house as well. But you got some folks who'll be like, you don't like it, then you need to go to Canada. You need to go back to whichever African country they feel that you are from. But I have always been of the opinion that while America may be one of the greatest nations in the world, it does not mean that it is without fault. And that if there is fault, that we can make efforts to make changes within those faults to improve it. I mean, we've got you're in education. Don't we have one of the worst education systems in the sense of the way we rate according to other nations around the world and all in that space, because we don't give enough support to our teachers, and some of the things that we are advocating are not the core values that you need. How much are we teaching financial literacy, and how much are we teaching even basic home economics?
I mean, it's being taught. The question is, were you in class, and were you present when it was being taught? Right. I mean, just for example, I'm gonna use my class for example. So I teach foundations of technology and engineering. So for the whole semester, we've been working on structures. So at the end of this advisory, they have to build their bridges. But before that, we had to do prerequisites in order for them to understand what a trust is, what the terminology is, what the materials that they're going to be using to simulate and things like that. So why did I have the advisory and the grades are due on the 31st, which is Friday. So why did I have students just contact me today asking me what is my student ID and what is the group ID? So you sat in class the whole time, and when I asked you, did you need help, or did you need your student ID, or did you need the group ID, which I put on the board, I just didn't put their student ID on the board. I gave it to them individually, and I asked you, did you need this? You said no, you were good, you were logged in. But now that grades are due, oh, I need my student ID, I need this. So it's not that the students are not being adequately given the information. They're not doing what they need to do with the information once they receive it. They're not paying attention. They're on their cell phones. They're doing God knows what. The parents call them during class, and I witness this all the time. The parents call them during class. So there's no value and there's no respect for educators, and there's no value and respect for education. So they feel that it's everything has to be given to them, and it just doesn't work like that. And then when a child fails, oh, it's the teacher's fault. The teacher didn't do this. The teacher didn't do that. It's not my fault. I showed up every day. I did what I was supposed to do. It's you and your child's fault. You outnumber me 2/3 to 1/3. I'm just 1/3 of that equation. Y'all are 2/3. I can't go home with your child to make sure that your child read and do their homework. I can't go home with your child to make sure that your child is doing what they need to do, is in even in class, when I'm asking your child if you are okay, if you understand, the answer I'm getting is yes. But then at the same time, you are not okay. So you're not asking questions. You're not communicating with me. You're not doing any of the things that you need to do. But yet and still, you're faulting me for your lack of willingness, your lack of, aptitude, your lack of grit, your lack of, encouragement. You're faulting me because you didn't do what I asked you to do. So it's not my fault, because we show up all the time ready, willing, and prepared to help you and get your child through. So at some point, the accountability has to be placed back on the child and the parent. It can't always fall on the teacher. Yes, we play a role in it, but we are not that grand role, the one that leads the way. It has to, it has to be on the parents and the students, honestly. And then you can't compare apples to oranges anyway, because our school system is totally different from the school system abroad. If you take the school system in China, the children are not even allowed to disrespect their teachers. So these children over here are allowed to disrespect, curse out, say whatever, and then they're right back in class. So they have no respect for their adult educators, and they're not listening to what the adults are saying. Half of the children are walking around the halls and not receiving that seat instruction, because you have to be in your seat a certain amount of hours for you to get that instruction, and they're just not doing that. So it's not the children, it's the parents and the people that are in charge who are making the rules that don't enforce the rules and hold the children accountable. I mean, we have social psychologists that have stated this for some time, that the parents are scared of the administrators, the administrators are scared of the superintendent is scared of the board, and the children walking around doing this, and they're not scared of anybody. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, we have to place the blame where the blame is, and that's on
but along those same lines, I don't know. I saw you put Donna Ford's name on there, so maybe she's going to pop in, or the latter part, or we'll bring her on another week.
Another day.
But I did send you the link and all of that, just in case you want to pop in or just to join the conversation. But hopefully she'll join us very shortly and all in that way. But how much concern should we have about what I alluded to earlier, which is the amount of kids that have weapons in their possession? And I know that some schools have a lot of security. Sometimes the security is even trained security in the sense of police force, and sometimes it's guards and all along those lines. But how much should parents and just society in general be concerned about this? I think you mentioned earlier today that there was another school shooting or another shooting that happened recently, and all in that space. So how much of this is a concern that we need to have when there is too much access to weapons and too much lack of discipline of our kids in general?
Well, I mean, we should really be concerned, because there is no discipline when it comes to the children. And even in the home, when the parents discipline a child, CPS gets involved. And then there's no discipline when it comes to the school situation. You ask for the child to be disciplined, you ask for the child to be removed. The child goes out of the class for like 10 minutes.
And wrapping up the other show, we'll be starting with Maxine very shortly. Sorry about that.
Yes, that's fine. So we're at a catch-22. It's like a double-edged sword, so the children are not being punished, and they're allowed to run amok. And so, yes, we should be concerned about the behavior, the weapons, and everything that's going on at this present point, because it's heightened. And a lot of children are carrying weapons because they're being bullied. They're being beat up, on the way to school. They're being targeted from school. So they feel like they have to bring the weapons to protect themselves. And sometimes the weapons do get through the doors of the school, and it comes inside. I know that we had several situations at my particular school where weapons were brought on the inside. I'm just finding this out now, but it was happening at the beginning of school. The other day, I read an article where children were being shot at going to a school in DC. So, I mean, like I said, it's a double-edged sword, and it's kind of hard to not expect the children to have something as protection, because the second that they walk outside their front doors, they are targets. So I mean, we have to do something to protect the children, but we also have to do something to protect the adults, and we also have to do something to protect the community. So
that makes a lot of sense, and I know we're handing down, but one of the questions I ask is it different based on the cultures? Because I do know that you deal with a lot of Hispanic kids, and there are folks that are looking at some of our kids, and of course there are not enough attention paid to some of the other kids, because we do know that if we look at the drug culture, we can see the ways that the drug culture is treated differently. You know, crack and cocaine are basically the same thing, but if they are from a certain class and a certain race, you may get away with it because you are having access to the lawyers and all in that space. I just wonder if you could speak
Well, I
to
mean, you know,
things are different in that.
I'm gonna just put it like this: when the black epidemic was happening with the cracking cocaine and things like that in the black neighborhood, Nancy Reagan said, "Just say no." There was no really initiatives put into place to combat, because we already know that the Reaganomics, which was her husband Reagan, had a war on drugs and had a war on the black community, and also even with what's his name for the FBI guy, I can't J. Edgar Hoover, when they had these wars against black people, and and she just said no. So to me, with that, to the other folks that are opioids, just say no. That's what she told us. Just say no. You know what I'm saying? So, when I say stuff like that, they were like, oh, that sounds so far-fetched. That's so asinine. No, that's what she told us. So guess what? I'm giving that same message back out. Just say no. Your mic is muted.
I was actually multitasking, as I oftentimes do, but definitely it'll be interesting to see what happens and all in that space, but it'll be fascinating and all in that kind of way. But definitely looking forward to some great conversations, and hopefully we're going to have the educators on tomorrow, and Ida will be sharing with us her experiences losing her dad, and our sympathies definitely go out to her and anybody else that has lost loved ones, as we mentioned earlier, and all in that way. But I think we had another vibrant conversation, even dealt with Kanye and folks. I did hear that Rock might be deciding to run for president, and he's also going to start charging folks for that social media stuff and all in that space.
Oh God, nobody's going to pay for that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's going to pay for that. Social media is going to come to head because nobody's going to pay for it. I know I'm not paying for it, so they can count me out if they ever charge anything. I'm not using it. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in to another great episode of the All Around. Thank you, Mark, for the great conversation. I love conversing with you and Ida, and hopefully Ida will be back next week. And Dr. Ford says she would join us later in the summer when her workload with her students are lessened, and we can get her so we can have her full attention. So make sure you click like and share on YouTube and Facebook so we can get those views up there, and make sure you continue to watch us on www.podtv.tv. And this has been another great episode with Dr. Anthony, your gracious host, and I will see you next Monday. Deuces.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves.